Hey everyone, Skull902 here, and this is my Let's Play of Donkey Kong Country for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. This game was released in November of 1994, and started what is essentially like the modern Donkey Kong series. Made by Rareware, this sort of popularized Donkey Kong as a Nintendo IP. Because, even though Donkey Kong was an incredibly popular arcade game, historically speaking, it really only launched Mario's career. The ape himself, for 13 long years, hadn't gotten quite a lot of prominence in the gaming world. So this sort of, gave him the chance to shine. Gave Donkey Kong some lore, and we're actually about to see that here in the first level, Jungle Hijinxes. I know it's supposed to be hijinks, but come on, Rare, come on. But anyway, check up on the banana horde, and oh no, it's gone. See, the thing is, Donkey Kong's enemies, the Kremlings, have gone ahead and stolen Donkey Kong's banana horde, and that's basically, for this version of the game, the entire summary of the story. Donkey Kong's bananas are gone. Go get them back. So in terms of like mechanics and whatnot, this game is sort of like the Mario series in a way. You've got like a run button that also acts as a way to carry items. You've got your animal buddies like Rambi here that you can ride, and other such things. But there's also like secret bonus rooms, and this is going to apply to all of my Donkey Kong Country runs, for the Super Nintendo trilogy. I'm not going for like 101% in DKC1 or 102% in DKC2 or 105% in DKC3. Because I'm not like super explorative. I don't know where everything is. I will be showing off like what happens for someone that does like go through the trouble in an extra video, but or extra videos rather, for the entire Super Nintendo trilogy. But as far as like me actually doing it in the playthrough, this is going to be more casual than that. The only time I really go out of the way to try and get like one of them is in World 5, and I kind of fail at that. You'll see in Part 5. But yeah, so it plays similarly to Mario, but it's more fast-paced, I would say, than the Mario games. Even though like you have no timer, so you can like take your time with things. I don't know, it's a little more intense because with an animal buddy you have 2 hit points. With another Kong there, like Diddy, you have 1 hit. You get like one more chance after getting hit. But essentially Donkey Kong is a 1 hit point wonder. So you gotta be careful about that. And the level design is made to be much more difficult than Mario. It's pretty bastardly at times, let me tell you. Especially in World 4. We'll get to World 4. Fucking World 4. God damn it. So essentially this is just like your introduction to the game. Pretty much World 1, of course, like any World 1 in any video game. This here is Cranky Kong. He's abusive, so we're not going to visit him again until the end. He very much lives up to his name, complains about the good old days of video gaming. Some suspect that he's the original Donkey Kong, and that like our modern Donkey Kong that we know and love is his grandson or son. They haven't really been consistent about that. So we don't know which Kong was the one that actually went off and fought Mario, but this game has a wonderful cast of characters. it's a charming game. You know, maybe except for Candy Kong, she's a little uncandy. She's a little Uncandy Valley. But other than that, we've got Diddy Kong here, who is faster than Donkey Kong, and you know he's a little more nimble, but he's also weaker. So there are differences with the characters. So again, Diddy's your speedster, but there are certain enemies that, like Clump, for example, he can only defeat Clump by doing a cartwheel into him, whereas Donkey Kong can roll into Clump or jump on his head. And Diddy can't deal with Crusha at all. So that's a thing. So like with this game, you really gotta know your Kongs and find out like which one is best for certain situations. It applies to this game. It applies to DKC2. It applies to DKC3. I'd say more so for the latter two than this one, especially with the DKC2 final boss fight. We'll get to that eventually. But yeah, you know, good stuff. Good stuff. You know, it's not a Mario and Luigi from Mario 1. You know, there's actually like some difference. This game drew a lot of comparisons to Mario back in the day, the first one specifically, and I think that's like, you know, it's fair but also kind of unfair at the same time, because a lot of people considered this like a Super Mario World knockoff, and like I said it before, there are similarities to Mario, but I think what with the level of difficulty and certain things like the animal buddies, which have, you know, different properties and stuff, you know, they're significantly different from each other. Whereas in Mario World, you had Yoshi, but like Yoshi had some like slight variations in Mario World, but like the animal buddies in Donkey Kong Country are pretty different from each other in terms of what they can do and how they operate and stuff. And you've also got mechanics like vine swinging and all that. Donkey Kong Country is definitely an original enough game. I don't think it's a ripoff of Super Mario World in any sense of the word. I guess critics were just a little more mean back in 1994. Who knows? But it's some cool stuff. Speaking of cool stuff, listen to this fucking song. Aquatic Ambience is such a beautiful fucking tune. David Wise was the lead composer for Donkey Kong Country. And I believe he was the one responsible for this track. Absolutely beautiful music, and we're going to be hearing a lot more of that in the series to come. He wasn't so much involved with the Super Nintendo version of Donkey Kong Country 3, but I think that Evelyn Fisher, his sort of successor in that regard, also did some fantastic music. Not quite in the same way. I wouldn't quite say her songs are, you know, as good or on the same level, but, you know, it's cool. So something I tried to do here in World 1 was get all the Kong letters, and that gives you an extra life. You know, lives are your means of, you know, being able to continue in the game as games were back then. Another way to get extra lives is to have like 100 bananas. That's another way. Bananas are like your coins, essentially, or your rings, or, you know, whatever sort of collectible you can think of for that purpose. And then there are also one-up items. But it's actually pretty cool because Donkey Kong countries are pretty varied. Or, well, I say they're pretty varied, but, you know, it's essentially the same item, but with a different value. You get balloons. Red balloons are worth 1 life, green balloons are worth 2 lives, and blue balloons are worth 3 lives. And if there's something I can thank Rare for, it's, you know, most of the time when there's color variants like that in video games, they'll make blue the least worthy of them. So I'm glad that blue got its rightful place as the highest value, the most worthwhile to get in that sense. So good on you, Rare. Good on you. You respect blue as a color, and I love you for it. So this is the point of the game where it kind of stops fucking around. At least, you know, for now. It's definitely gonna get more intense later, but this is to introduce you to like timing barrel blasts, because you're gonna need to in order to, you know, progress through the game. This second half of this level is pretty much essentially dedicated to teaching you the barrel mechanics. There are automatic blast barrels. There are these ones that go up and down. You know, it's some good stuff to teach you how to, you know, go ahead and win at the game, essentially. I'll be getting into barrels and variants of barrels and all that stuff later. Here's the Uncandy Valley. Anyway, Candy Kong here is all around, or not all around, she's only available in one place, but she saves your game. So that's some good stuff. We did pass by Funky Kong, and I'll explain like what he does in part 4. But you know, he's around. So here we have our first boss, and the bosses in this game are actually pretty simple. Here we have Very Naughty, I believe his name was. He's just a beaver that hops around. He's a bit of a goober. And he's also easy to take care of. So, yeah, good stuff. Donkey Kong Country is a pretty fun game, and I'll be looking forward to talking more about it in part 2. So, I'll see you there. I've been Skull902. Thank you for watching, and have yourselves a wonderful day.